champion is their 10th overall title. They knocked off undefeated Montana State 35-32 on Monday. Playoffs consisted of a 24-team bracket with the top 16 teams seeded and the top 8 seeds receiving automatic byes into the second round. North Dakota State advanced to the final as the second seed. They beat Abilene Christian, Mercer, and South Dakota State on their way to the title. Montana State advanced with wins over UT Martin, Idaho, and South Dakota. 14-2, North Dakota State has captured 10 FCS national titles since 2011. The Bison 10-1 in 11 title games during that run. The Bears have requested to speak to Mike McCarthy, the current Cowboys coach whose contract expires on Wednesday. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Now's the time to shop limited-time doorbuster deals during Pro Savings Days at Lowe's. Save $50 on a Little Giant King Combo 6-foot ladder. Was $199, now $149. Plus, save $100 on a DeWalt XR 20-volt Power Stack 5-amp-hour battery. Was $199, now $99. Get these can't-miss deals now before they're gone. Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Doorbusters valid 1/13 through 1/15. Selection varies by location while supplies last.
Joe Montana here. In my football days, I knew the importance of a strong defense. Now I'm sharing how you can help defend your health against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease. Are you 50 or older like me? The CDC now recommends vaccination against pneumococcal disease. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at increased risk and over 6 times greater risk of hospitalization with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50. Schedule your appointment today at vaxassist.com.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Smart is coming back. The days of just picking teams based on a coin toss are over. You need the latest stats, odds, and information. Make a plan. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Well, duh. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The only place in football where the offense is always on the field is on Moneyline. With the two best hosts in radio, Donnie Rightside.
If anybody wasn't watching, listen, I don't know what you were doing.
And Kevin Walsh.
Forget act like you've been there before.
On the SportsGrid Radio Network, Sirius XM Channel 159.
What do you say? Little Moneyline right here on this Tuesday. Kevin Walsh with you solo style for the next hour as we take a look on some of the NBA action tonight. We've got Celtics Nuggets, which is always a little bit interesting. The disastrous Miami Heat will take the court. We may get into that a little bit. Awesome night of college basketball. Countless ranked teams in action. And I believe we have 6 of the top 10 teams in national championship odds playing as well. Most of them coming from the SEC, including Florida hosting an unbeaten number 1 Tennessee and doing so as a home favorite. So it gives you an idea how good the SEC is really, because that same Florida team just caught 2.5 at Kentucky, and they lost that game. So the fact that they're still laying tonight to Tennessee, again, I don't think it's the idea that Tennessee isn't great. Tennessee's really good. Maybe not best team in the country. They're not title favorites, right? You can tell that that's a back and forth between Auburn and Duke. They're in action as well in conference play. Duke has Pittsburgh, and then Auburn's going to go to Texas, and Texas is having a down start to the season, so they're catching double digits in their own building right now. Last look, at least for me. We'll get to that. We'll get to all of it. But we do have some NFL news this morning that Ron Carthon's out as the general manager of the Tennessee Titans, and that is massive. Absolutely massive, massive news there from Tennessee. So the Titans' quarterback situation is obviously not desirable. Will Levis, who wasn't a first-round draft choice anyway, doesn't look like he's going to pan out. What's more important in that kind of aspect is the former versus the latter. Will Levis not being a first-round draft choice is going to very likely mean he won't get the additional reps that maybe some other quarterbacks would if they were, to see if it'll turn the corner. I wasn't high on Will Levis coming out of Kentucky. I feel like most weren't super high on Will Levis coming out of Kentucky. So there's a level of confirmation bias. You could certainly argue that happens when Will Levis plays the way that he does. But Levis is not going to stop Tennessee from drafting quarterback would be the idea. And the Tennessee Titans, for anybody who does not know, they have the first overall draft pick, which is going to have many people expecting Tennessee will sit and pick between either Cam Ward of Miami or Shedeur Sanders of Colorado. But this is interesting now that they fire their general manager, because, and I would imagine anybody they hire is smart enough to know that you want to have coaches and quarterbacks on the same timeline. Now, again, this is interesting, but most GMs would also prefer to be on the same timeline as their head coach. As a general manager, to come in and you have now Brian Callahan, who just finished his first season in Tennessee and finished it with the worst record in football. And by the way, the Tennessee Titans, while they were not projected to be good, were not supposed to be the worst team in football. They weren't supposed to be a 3-win team in Tennessee. They had a lot more talent on that roster than, say, the New England Patriots, right? And Jerron Mayo still lost his job. So, if we saw the new general manager come in and everyone is and is given the A-OK to move on from Brian Callahan, well, then expect them to make their hire, draft their quarterback, and continue on their merry way. But one of the things that I would always want to avoid if I was a GM, right? The situation the Chicago Bears put themselves in. Draft a quarterback, keep a coach who you're not in love with and Matt Eberflus, fire Eberflus, which they had to do, no choice. Now Caleb has to reset and re-rack again, right? Caleb has to now go and figure out a new head coach this offseason. Who knows who that's going to be? We can get into that. Mike McCarthy, Pete Carroll. I mean, it looks like Chicago will strike out on Ben Johnson. We'll get there. My wonder, though, is if the new general manager in Tennessee is not given the okay to move on from Brian Callahan. And I'm not saying I would or wouldn't even fire Brian Callahan. I'm just being realistic that a general manager likes to have their quarterback, but maybe more importantly, their coach. If there's not given that okay, could perhaps the new GM in Tennessee say, I ain't drafting quarterback. Nope, not doing it. Not for me. I'm not drafting quarterback here. Let me get a lay of the land. Let's take a beat. A little bit of patience. It's truly the thing that you almost never see in the NFL is patience. You just don't. You know, in the NBA, they preach it a lot. Rebuilds, resets, you know. Any NFL team that's in a rebuild is not by choice. It's not by choice. They got caught with a bad decision. They're stuck, and they pretend they're rebuilding for a year, right? The New York Giants didn't rebuild. The New York Giants made a ridiculous decision to pay Daniel Jones the money that they paid him. The New York Giants went into this season with a quarterback making franchise-level money. It wasn't a rebuilding year. They were just bad. They're just bad. And by the way, Brian Daboll and Joe Shane, who are coming back next season, are not being given the grace of, hey, listen, we're rebuilding here in New York. You take your time. If you don't love this quarterback class, all good. We've heard a lot of good things about next year's quarterback class, which we've heard. With the Giants and Shane and Daboll, you better go win next year. Better go figure out the postseason next year. Nobody rebuilds, really, in the NFL. Maybe then the Tennessee coach will just, again, fall down that same exact path draft his quarterback, not like his head coach, fire his head coach, rookie quarterback gets year 2, coach 2. Hope that works. Ooh, it doesn't work. Is it the quarterback's fault? Is it the coach's fault? And the GM is just sitting there like, oh, man, can we please figure this out? Please, can we figure this out? Now, if you're the general manager and you love one of the quarterbacks, so this is irrelevant then, right? If your room, if your group, if your guys come to the conclusion that Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders is worth that pick, you make that pick. It's the position that you have to make that pick at. But if Brian Callahan is the coach and you don't want Brian Callahan as the coach, you're in a tough spot. You could say, well, what if we draft, sit, wait, patience, and then maybe we could move on from Callahan and never really muddy the water here on our young quarterback. You're not going to draft someone at first overall and have patience because they just don't have it in the National Football League. What will the Tennessee Titans do, though? Now becomes something to keep our eye on. They are on the clock come April. Let's take a break and come right back. We're hanging out with you on Moneyline right here on SportsGrid Radio.
We're the club you want to join, even though we'd have you as a member.
You'll like it here. We have munchies.
And the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
McDonald's is ending some of its diversity practices, citing the U.S. Supreme Court's 2023 decision outlawing affirmative action in college admissions. With the SportsGrid News Flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. McDonald's is the latest to shift its tactics in the wake of the Supreme Court ruling and the backlash that followed. Walmart, John Deere, Harley-Davidson, and others have also rolled back diversity programs. McDonald's said Monday it planned to retire specific goals for achieving diversity at senior leadership levels. It also intends to end a program that encourages its suppliers to develop diversity training and increase the number of minorities in their own leadership ranks. Congress certified President-elect Donald Trump as the winner of the 2024 election in proceedings Monday. Lawmakers convened under heavy security and a winter snowstorm to meet the date required by law to certify the election. Harris certified her own defeat, much the way Democrat Al Gore did in 2001, Republican Richard Nixon did in 1961, and then President Mike Pence did 4 years ago. I'm Trey Westerberg with the SportsGrid News Flash.
Hey, you've definitely had a busy month. Finding gifts, sending cards, hosting family. Well, now it's time to treat yourself at Macy's After Christmas Sale. Come and find great deals on something just for you. Like 25% off New Year's party looks from DKNY, Adriana Papel, and more. So enjoy the week and get yourself the gifts you really wanted before these limited time deals are over. At Macy's After Christmas Sale. Savings off already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
This holiday season, Capital One reminds you to give yourself the gift of 1.5% cash back with the Capital One Quicksilver Card.
Can I earn 1.5% cash back on birds?
Birds?
What if you sent your true love 2 turtle doves plus a partridge in a pear tree?
Sure, but why would anyone want that?
The song was very convincing.
Earn 1.5% cash back on all your holiday purchases with the Capital One Quicksilver Card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
You've heard of smart bombs,
Smartphones, smart cars, smart watches, and smart glasses.
Now you can add smart player.
Giving you sports gaming strategies and information 24/7.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
All right, we're back with you hanging out on Moneyline. Kevin Walsh. Don't forget, we are here on Sirius XM Channel 159, YouTube SportsGrid On Demand. If you'd like to jump over in the chat box, if you've got any picks, plays, action on this Tuesday, January 7th, feel free to drop it in. If you have any questions or thoughts, feel free to get in the mix there as well. SportsGrid On Demand. We'll be live tonight on Game Time Decisions for a great basketball card. Should have Coach James Young joining us. We're live at 6 p.m. Eastern here on SportsGrid as well. Looking to talk to Mike Blewett around the Pittsburgh Steelers and the postseason picture, which should always be a good conversation. Love getting the chance to hang out with Mike, so we'll do that tonight at around 7 Eastern on Game Time Decisions. But we're talking about the Tennessee Titans news, and them firing their general manager and what that means moving forward now and how that could shape things around the National Football League. And I think if you're the Tennessee Titans, when you bring in this general manager, and mind you, they just made they just extended Carthon over the offseason there. So they must have something in mind in Tennessee. Maybe Brian Callahan isn't safe. I mean, listen, if you just extended Carthon this offseason, right, and you're willing to fire him, why wouldn't you be willing to fire Brian Callahan as well? And again, I am not sitting here telling you that they should or shouldn't fire Brian Callahan. I'm talking about a decision that's already been made and that what could happen next. Titans are very important when we get to the offseason. Very important. I don't know about everyone, here listening to us, but I know I love betting the NFL draft. We do great coverage here on SportsGrid around the NFL draft. Following those markets. And those markets move. They fluctuate quite a bit. Is there a world where the Tennessee Titans draft at 1, but it's not a quarterback? Is there a world where the Tennessee Titans trade out of the first overall selection? The new GM says, again, you know what, man? Like these are not my quarterbacks. I want to get involved next year. I want to get involved with that group. Whether that be Arch Manning, Nico out of Tennessee, Dante Moore out of Oregon, whatever it might be. I think that's on the board, right? I think it's on the board. So it becomes a very interesting situation for us to watch now in Tennessee. I think at least. I think if, it's not going to be easy, I would imagine, to get a top-level general manager candidate into your building. If you tell them, listen, your coach is already selected, your staff is already selected, right? Up and down, offensive, defensive coordinator. So that becomes a little tricky. And if you are Tennessee, right? Again, if you end up loving a Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward, that's the move that you make. It is. But I wonder how the Titans and the Browns and the Giants and the Patriots and the Jaguars, and I can't imagine it would last longer than that. I do wonder how all these teams feel about Travis Hunter. Because that, to me, is at the moment the most interesting thing around the NFL draft. No, I'm sure they all really like Travis Hunter. Right? How could you not? He's an incredible player. Deserved the Heisman Trophy. Deserved it. Travis Hunter, and we've heard, I believe, from Dion, if you're not going to let Travis play both sides of the football, don't draft him. Don't draft him. Well, we know that, the NFL as a whole at times can be rigid. And there may, of the 32 teams, you would imagine at least half wouldn't even consider letting him play both sides of the football. Just regardless of what he wants, what he's good at. Anything, no, that's not how football is, man. You're going to do this or you're going to do that. So that could have limit the situation, right? Now, maybe you have a situation where, some of the teams that are looking to draft Travis are saying like, hey, man, we'll figure it out, right? We will get there when we get there. But I don't know if that's going to be good enough for Travis Hunter. He may want some guarantees made to him. Because you have to understand for Travis Hunter, and Travis Hunter wants to win. Travis Hunter wants to play great football, right? But what makes Travis Hunter special is playing both sides of the football. Sometimes the conversation that happens is people go, listen, man, he's a lockdown corner. Tough to find those. He's got to play corner. Patrick Surtain is the favorite to win Defensive Player of the Year. Close is the favorite. Probably is going to win the award. Denver made the postseason. Their defense was great this year. Not that many people know Patrick Surtain. Not that many people have any clue he's about to win Defensive Player of the Year. Corner is a position it is difficult to be a star at, right? It's how many cornerback stars have we seen in the last handful of years, right? I mean, they exist. Richard Sherman, Jalen Ramsey. It happens. Darrelle Revis, obviously. It happens. It's not the easiest thing in the world. I'm not saying Travis can't be, but what Travis is known for is going out there playing high-level corner, possession flips, and going out there and playing high-level wide receiver. That's what he does. And that's what he wants to do. And a lot of people have this notion, but he can't do it in the NFL. Well, I wouldn't have thought he'd been able to do it in college at the level, right? And he did. And I think at minimum, he's going to command the opportunity to do it. So what happens if the team drafting one wants him but says they won't let him do it? Does Travis just sit in the green room until the team comes to the podium that is willing to let him be who he is? Another interesting wrinkle as we put our eye on the NFL draft with you on Moneyline. We'll be right back.
We never stop giving you sports gaming strategies and information 24 hours a day.
7 days a week. Business hours are for losers.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
In 1992, pitchers Tom Seaver and Raleigh Fingers are elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. In 1979, in the AFC Championship in Pittsburgh, the Steelers pound the Oilers 34-5. And in the NFC Championship in LA, the Dallas Cowboys beat the Rams 28-0. The Steelers would go on to beat the Cowboys in the Super Bowl 35-31.
For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
AI algorithms trained by Dartmouth researchers with tens of thousands of knee x-rays looking for hidden medical insights. The AI discovered if orthopedic patients drank beer or didn't like to eat refried beans. These amazing, subtle, unintended patterns in the data are all highly accurate, except have absolutely no basis in medical fact. An AI defect known as shortcut learning, while it's a great tool, AI doesn't actually reason or understand and can easily hallucinate. Follow me at Capalbo on X and stay tuned to the Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
The early line.
The Jags, who fired Doug Peterson this morning. A lot of conversation around keeping Trent Baalke as the GM. What an idiotic move by Sean Khan in Duval County. The Colts, Jim Irsay saying that both Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard will be back. Oh boy, I wouldn't want to be in Indy this offseason.
It's the early line with Ben Stevens and Donnie Rightside. Weekdays, 8 a.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network.
There, Sporto.
We know you've been hurt in the past. Big stations with big promises lied to you, suckered you in.
We don't do that.
We're the real deal.
You can take our information to the bank. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Back to right here on SportsGrid. And I didn't see this right away. But when the news came out around... at 10:41 is when the Tennessee Titans announced that they were going to part ways with their general manager, Ron Carthon. At 10:41, that was. At 10:42, wow! Exclamation point! Eyeball emoji from at Deion Sanders. Is Deion online? Is someone doing that for Deion? Does Deion have tweet notifications on for the team with the first overall pick? Look, I think it is. I think Deion is awesome. I really do. I think what he's done at Colorado is incredible. And I think a lot of the things that bother probably, there's less of it now because of the success this season, but the things that people are probably annoyed about are things that probably draw me towards Deion. And one thing Deion could potentially be a part of that is going to drive people insane is if Deion hits teams with the Heisman pose, the stiff arm, from making a decision to draft his son, Shedeur Sanders, or even that of Travis Hunter this April. What I'm saying is, I wonder if Deion looks at the Tennessee situation and goes, no. We're firing GMs. Brian Callahan's lame duck. We're not going there, man. We're not going there. It's not happening. Here's the thing. It's very interesting. But if Shedeur Sanders were to tell Tennessee it's not happening, right? He wouldn't be the first quarterback ever to do it, right? We know that Elway, Eli, guys made moves to get themselves elsewhere. You would imagine that stuff would be more commonplace. I'm serious, right? There's more player movement, player empowerment across sports, not just the NBA. And I think understanding how important your situation is as a quarterback, you may not be willing to go certain places because that is your future then in the hands of that organization. So I wonder, right, could we see a situation where Deion goes, "Ooh, I don't like what I'm seeing in Tennessee. Don't like that. No. Now, I do think Deion wants Shedeur to go first overall. For those that don't remember, realize, whatever, Shedeur Sanders could have left last year. Part of him not leaving, at least according to Deion, is, quote, we don't go second. Because everybody knew Caleb was going first overall last year. Now, I don't think Shedeur would have been drafted second, but again, you get the point. Would Deion potentially, again, if the Titans organization wants to draft Shedeur, be like, no, not happening. Not happening. Cleveland steps up to the podium. Also, no thanks. No thanks. Giants at 3. He had the cleats. He had the custom cleats. Maybe he's into it. It's possible. If that's the route the Giants want to go. And again, could there be a similar situation with Travis Hunter? Where Travis is like, listen, I'll play anywhere as long as you allow me to be Travis Hunter. Which is a very interesting thing. This is very unique. You're talking about a player in Travis Hunter offering up something that sounds like a dream. But organizations are too scared, potentially, to welcome that in. The only comparison you can make is Ohtani. And, it's funny as somebody who sits here and says Ohtani should stop pitching. Yeah, now I say that because I've seen Ohtani's arm give way and I've seen him be an MVP as a DH. But Ohtani had to be given the chance. Hunter has to be given the chance to play both sides of the football. And him ensuring that the organization that drafts him gives him that chance is the absolute correct decision. And you'd be crazy to say otherwise. Back with you right here on Moneyline now.
You're listening to your source of sports gaming strategies and information.
We call it the winning edge.
It helps make the odds even.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders. North Dakota State football is the FCS champion. It's their 10th overall title. They knocked off undefeated Montana State 35-32 on Monday. Playoffs consisted of a 24-team bracket with the top 16 teams seeded and the top 8 seeds receiving automatic byes into the second round. North Dakota State advanced to the final as the second seed. They beat Abilene Christian, Mercer, and South Dakota State on their way to the title. Montana State advanced with wins over UT Martin, Idaho, and South Dakota. 14-2, North Dakota State has captured 10 FCS national titles since 2011. The Bison 10-1 in 11 title games during that run. The Bears have requested to speak to Mike McCarthy, the current Cowboys coach whose contract expires on Wednesday. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Welcome back to College Bowl season, and now it looks like a fan has run onto the field carrying a $5 KFC bowl.
Oh, yeah, looks like the mac and cheese bowl with 5 original recipe nuggets, or the new Nashville hot loaded fry bowl with nuggets, coleslaw, secret recipe fries, pickles, and Nashville hot sauce. Wow, looks yummy from up here.
Boy, everybody wants that bowl as more fans are pouring onto the field. Hey, Bill.
Get the only bowls that matter this season. 5 delicious bowls, just $5 each. Only at KFC. Prices and participation may vary. Supplies last. Taxes, tips, and fees extra.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time. The next time you're out to dinner with friends, you can order the shrimp cocktail for the table. And maybe you'll realize it only comes with 4 shrimp after you've already given away 3, but that one shrimp will be so good. And if you switch and save hundreds, you could get shrimp all the time. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For shrimp. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Be the master of your domain.
Get the SportsGrid mobile app so now you can get the winning edge while your wife is in a dressing room trying on stuff while you wait patiently on the uncomfortable chair. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
All right, we're back right here on SportsGrid. SportsGrid Radio, Sirius XM, channel 159. Okay, all right. It's all right. We're live. It's all right. I have guests in the studio there, the dogs. It's live, folks. It's live. Hold on. Hold on, people. What do you say? That's all right. That's all right. We're making it happen. As long as you can hear me, it'll be just fine. Okay. We're making it happen. I mean, that's as live as it gets, baby. Not bad. Is the lighting better? People are asking. Is it going to stay? I mean, the light. Let's just hold it. Let's just hold it. All right. It's only a 10-minute. All right. Now listen. What were we talking about? What were we in the mix about? I think we were gonna talk a little NBA. JP, the producer, how do you feel about this, JP, right now? What are our thoughts on the situation?
It rocks. I wouldn't have it any other way. This is the best show to date, and I thought it was going to hit you in the head, but my camera is delayed, so by the time I heard the audio, I had already seen it falling.
Right, gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah, I don't think this is stable. And that's the issue, but that's okay. We'll bring it a little bit closer so I have a better handle on it. Anybody want to talk Miami Heat basketball? I can't be the only one that wants to talk Miami Heat I don't understand. They come in all the time and hang out, and now it's just like back to sleeping. Oh, come on, man. So here's the deal. The Miami Heat are driving me nuts. I have a win total over on Miami. And they had to suspend Jimmy Butler because of how bad things are going. And ultimately, I don't really blame them. I'm just sitting here talking like a goof. Like this thing isn't bothering me. There's nothing I can do right now. That's all right. Here, wait, maybe I can bring this with me. I got to get this back in the corner. Can it stay there, folks? We're here. We're making it happen. That looks sturdy. It looks sturdy. I don't know. We'll try and keep tabs on it. Hey, JP, you here?
Yep, all here.
Yeah, JP, what do you think about Jimmy Butler, man? Give me a second to catch myself.
Yeah, here, you do that. I'll do the Jimmy Butler. Yeah, absolutely unbelievable situation with him. And it showed on the court with him just absolutely. I mean, he's taking one-legged threes, just 5 shots in a game from your star players, just absolutely unbelievable. So, I mean, I'm glad they suspended him, and he's on the move soon.
So, look, yeah, I think Miami was left really without an option. And the level that they were getting from Jimmy, I'm not sure that you could say the last 2 games would have been victories in the home game against Utah and then last night in Sacramento, double overtime. Because the game before that, they had Jimmy and they lost by, I think, 15 or 13 points at home to Indiana. But I think the situation is clearly bad right now. And as somebody who really likes Jimmy Butler, this isn't the first time that Jimmy Butler has kind of left a mess behind him, right? Has made things uncomfortable for people. Now, I can't sit here and tell you it's all Jimmy's fault. You know, Pat Riley made the decision that he wasn't going to pay Jimmy. And here's the thing. Remember, I'm going to make a comparison because there's an argument I used to get into with a Celtics buddy of mine. When the Celtics didn't pay Isaiah Thomas, IT4, he had that incredible year. I think he finished like 5th in MVP voting, right? It was scoring like 30 a game. It was incredible. It was insane. It was such a good season. But they didn't pay him, right? He had the hip injury, and he was a part of the Kyrie trade. And Isaiah Thomas was never the same player, and he never got the bag that everybody thought he was going to get. And you saw some guys around the league say, like, I'll never go to Boston. Look what they did to Isaiah Thomas. And the buddy of mine was like, I don't understand. Like, they made the right move. Yeah, they did. But it doesn't mean that it's not going to upset people. There's still a cause and effect, right? Isaiah Thomas is the kind of guy that a lot of people wanted to see taken care of, right? Especially, the tragedy during the postseason that, with the death in the family. And that stuck with some players. AD was like, I'll never go to Boston. I think his dad said it, but Anthony Davis, right? And the Celtics have been lining up for years to try and trade for AD. For years. And it never came through. So for Jimmy Butler in Miami, right? Ultimately, do you want to pay Jimmy Butler another 4 or 5 year max contract with his age and health and sometimes up and down effort level, right? And it's not that Jimmy mails in some regular season games, but he's not giving it his best. And he couldn't argue with that he is, because we know the playoff Jimmy thing exists, right? And, Jimmy would probably say, well, hold on, a lot of guys turn it up. Yeah, Jimmy, but they don't, their teams aren't in the play-in, right? It's not like the Heat are coasting to a 3 seed and then he turns it on. The Heat are scrapping for their lives in the play-in. The year the Miami Heat made the championship against Denver, they were nearly eliminated in the play-in round. That's not a way to live. But again, Jimmy Butler, I would imagine, gets his number retired by the Miami Heat. So ultimately, if you did right by Jimmy, not a lot of people would be upset by that. But Pat Riley doesn't really seem all that interested in doing right by guys. The Patriot way, the Heat way. Right? But sometimes that doesn't work. And Tom Brady ends up in Tampa Bay winning another Super Bowl. And LeBron ends up in Cleveland winning another NBA championship. And then in Los Angeles winning another NBA championship. Making a ton of finals. LeBron and Pat didn't leave on great terms. Dwayne Wade, the first time he left, not great terms. We know it ended well, right? And we know it had the storybook close. But now you have to wonder a little bit. Could Miami get a reputation? They'll treat you right for a little bit, but eventually they're going to move on. Not everybody wants that. It's funny, right? It's like, the player movement, this, that. Yeah, but guys like the ability to, be where they are, right? And to know that the place that they're at has them covered, if you will. A big reason James Harden, when he his most recent trade out of Philly, wanted to go to the Clippers was the Clippers were very likely going to pay him. Just for a million reasons. And the Clippers paid him. Right? Like LeBron with the Lakers for a lot of reasons. Right? But he knows the Lakers will pay him for as long as he wants. It's comforting. Right? There's probably a reason why, like, a guy like Draymond at times was always upset, a little upset with Golden State. They're like, not sure what move we're going to make here. So where does this Jimmy Butler situation end? I think we can get into that a little bit. Landing spots and if anything else is sitting out there in the league, we'll talk about it right here. It's Moneyline.
Loser is kind of a mean-spirited slur.
But it doesn't have to stick.
Tell them to listen to SportsGrid and fix it.
No, thank you. Later.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders. The Bears have requested to speak to Mike McCarthy, the current Cowboys coach whose contract expires on Wednesday. Meanwhile, the Chargers plan to add depth with running back Ezekiel Elliott. He'll be added to the practice squad today pending a physical. The Cowboys waived Elliott earlier this month, a move that owner and GM Jerry Jones said was out of respect for Elliott and wanting to provide him with an opportunity to compete in the playoffs. On the ice Monday, the Sabres beat the Capitals 4-3 in the shootout. In overtime, the Canadiens got by the Canucks 5-4. The Avalanche beat the Panthers 3-1. The Devils nipped Seattle 3-2. NBA, the Pistons over the Blazers 118-115. The Suns beat the Sixers 109-99. The Pacers over the Nets 113-99. The Magic 103-94 winners in New York over the Knicks. The Bucks beat the Raptors 128-104. The Bulls over the Spurs 114-110. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
This sandwich is not just spicy, it's flavorful. Hi, this is Matayo. And this is Elsa. And a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe Sandwich is that spicy kick. Because the spice comes in at just the right moment. Oh, no. A little thing I love is that cilantro lime sauce. It's a fun blend of zesty and bold. That's what really makes me happy. Are you going to eat all your fries?
Order a Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe Sandwich and a Diet Dr. Pepper on the Chick-fil-A app for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest. The last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying. Just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay. Things people love.
If SportsGrid was a burrito, we'd be the one with steak and carnitas packed so full every bite made your cheeks poof out like Dizzy Gillespie, so the name stuck and now even your mother calls you Dizzy. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
All right, we're back with you right here. We are on SportsGrid. We are on SportsGrid Radio. And, of course, we are on SportsGrid on demand. Shout out to Chris in the chat. We've got Vince out there as well. Chris, amidst some laughter and rightfully so around things falling. He also says the Heat are done. And I think even that is actually a really fair point. The Heat have made a few runs to the conference finals, to the NBA championship. The tone around those runs have also been, this is improbable. It is tough to sustain that. And the Heat are now not sustaining it. And that's why I think parting ways with Jimmy is fine. And I think they should be able to get something reasonable back. I'm not positive what, because it's complicated. Jimmy would like to be in Phoenix. Phoenix would trade for him tomorrow. But it involves Beal going. And I'm always honest. I saw the theory posed online. I cannot tell you definitively where I saw it, but I am open to it being true. The Phoenix Suns benching Bradley Beal in a hope that will see him request a trade. Now, the first go at it didn't work great. Beal was awesome, scored 25 off the bench on an efficient 10 of 15. If that was the MO. I don't know how long Bradley Beal will enjoy competing for sixth man of the year. I don't think every game is going to look like it did last night against Philadelphia. If you're Beal, leaving Phoenix, right, for Miami, I would consider. He kind of always wanted to go to Miami anyway, right? To some degree. It's Miami. It's tax-free. You will be competing enough, right? You should make the playoffs. All good. If Phoenix doesn't want you, it's weird anyway. It's not worked. You could probably waive that no trade clause. The prevailing notion, though, is Miami doesn't want Bradley Beal. So people say, all right, you got to get a third team involved. Well, now if I'm Bradley Beal, I have questions. Who's the third team? The Nets? No. I'm not going to Brooklyn, putting up 29, just like I was in Washington, if I'm Bradley Beal. It's a waste of my time. I mean, he can if he wants, but the whole thing of him getting out of Washington is he didn't want to do that anymore. You know, you could say grass isn't always greener on the other side. I don't think if you ask Bradley Beal, you know, he probably doesn't think, one, the Phoenix stuff is his fault. I'm not saying it's all his fault. It's just obviously not worked great. But two, those guys in Phoenix probably think, just let us get healthy, because they're not healthy, but they're not going to be healthy. That was a part of the, preseason breakdown on that basketball team. As everybody always seemingly puts their eyes on the Lakers' health, an obsession for people when breaking down what that team will be. Constantly. They overlook a team like the Suns getting outlier health last season from both Kevin Durant and Yusuf Nurkic, and we've already seen them both miss a ton of time this year. It's not surprising. It's not. Again, if Beal says, if the Houston Rockets are like, yeah, all right, we'll do it for a year. If you're Beal, all right, that's okay. You can go be a part of something, right? Fit in where you get in. I doubt they'll be into it in Houston, just throwing them out there as an example. But that becomes the issue with Beal. Where is the landing spot? Who can financially make that work and wants to make that work? It's not easy. I'll bring you in quick, JP, because I know you follow, again, the league very closely. Is there a team that makes sense in the Bradley Beal portion of this conversation where Jimmy goes to Phoenix? Miami goes, we're not bringing back Beal, though.
I don't think we've been doing this trade in different forms for 3 years with Zach LaVine, Brendan Ingram. There's these guys on these massive contracts during the second apron period of this NBA. You can't move them. There's nowhere for them to go, and they stay on their teams, and they're disgruntled the whole time. It's just what happens.
You're not wrong. I mean, again, listen, if you're Orlando, again, if the money works, you want to put more offense on the roster, Okay. If you're the Indiana Pacers, you want to put, a more pure scorer on the roster? Maybe, but not really. I don't really want to move anything around now that Halliburton remember how to play basketball. Detroit, I know they've been better, but is that what Beal wants to do? With Jaden Ivey done for the season? You can make an argument, but again, is that what Beal wants? Like Detroit, here's the deal. Some people could convince themselves Phoenix could win a title. You can't convince yourself Detroit can. You can't. Memphis, you want to take a shot? Maybe. I never know what Memphis is doing. I don't know if Memphis enjoys being the young, scrappy team that they are, or if they want to make a big swing, a big push. Denver has to do something, but Beal is probably not that. Just go get Jimmy. Right? Let's just figure that out. Or Levine. I think at this point, Beal is below both of them in terms of trade value and desire. This gets real interesting, man. It's real interesting. And we're a month away. It's gonna pick up. The Butler thing should be done sooner than later, though, really. Because the Heat are gonna fall below 500, and this is gonna get even worse. Let's take a quick break. We'll close it out. We're hanging out. It's Moneyline on SportsGrid Radio.
It's a choice.
Roll the dice
Or listen to us. Luck is finding a good parking spot. Strategy is getting the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The new SportsGrid app is now available on iOS and the App Store. Experience the ultimate sports betting companion that provides personalized content from your favorite hosts. In-depth matchup previews, game and prop picks, live odds, stats, scores, and more. All in one place. And of course, on the SportsGrid app, you can tune into our live television and radio coverage anytime. On the go, wherever you are. Download the SportsGrid app on the iOS App Store now. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. SportsGrid Radio presents Gridiron Greats.
Running back Walter Payton set the then NFL rushing title in 1984, passing Jim Brown. Sweetness was a rare combination of power, speed, and agility. In 1999, Payton lost his life at the age of 45. Former teammate Dan Jiggins.
He was, at all stops along the way, the most ferocious competitor that I've ever seen.
For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Moneyline.
I think Raheem Morris would deserve to be fired way more than Gerard Mayo. Your season is on the line, and Bryce Young is out there essentially going to get a statue built in Carolina at the end of that football game.
If you would have said that, Bijan went nuts. Penix looked great. You had 535 yards or whatever it was on offense, and you lost. From an Atlanta perspective, Raheem Morris, you deserve to get fired today.
Catch Moneyline with Donnie Rightside and Kevin Walsh. Weekdays, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific. On the SportsGrid Radio Network.
You're listening to the voice of authority. Sports gaming strategies and information on daily sporting events. In other words, information you can take to the bank. We are your trusted source for gaming, odds, and more. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
All right, we're closing it out. We're closing it out on Moneyline. Appreciate everybody who's been hanging out with us for this last hour. Tomorrow, Donnie Rightside will be back right here with you guys on the show. Tonight, again, 6 p.m. Eastern, it'll be game time decisions. And you know that we will go through this full college basketball board. Just to quickly give you guys an idea of what that looks like tonight. Florida up to a 3.5-point favorite against the Tennessee Volunteers, the unbeaten number one team in college basketball. You also have Kentucky on the road, laying just 2.5 to a 12-2 Georgia team within SEC action. Duke's 14.5 against Pitt tonight, but Pitt 12-2 to open up their year. Arizona is laying at a ranked West Virginia, West Virginia ranked due to an upset win that they have at Fog Allen this season against the Kansas Jayhawks. Iowa State's going to lay 17 and a hook to Utah in some Big 12 play. How about Marquette and Georgetown, with Marquette laying 12.5 to a surprisingly 12-2 team right now in the Hoyas. 10 and a hook, it's what Auburn is going to lay at Texas. Really slow start for Texas against top competition. Could the double digits, though, be a little bit too much? Mississippi State is going to lay a short number at Vanderbilt. Late night, Utah State is going to lay double digits on the road at San Jose State. And then you'll also get our only ranked game outside of Florida, Tennessee. It comes to us from the Big Ten, though it doesn't feel right to say that UCLA is hosting Michigan in a Big Ten battle. They'll do so as just a 2.5-point favorite. Awesome college basketball slate. We should have Coach James Young with us again tonight on Game Time Decisions. Going to let that board materialize a little bit. You know that I'll be in the mix there. Last night was in the mix. This is happening a little bit too much for my liking right now on the college basketball board. Took 18.5 with TCU. Lose the game by 19. Not a fun one. That's all right. We bounce back today. The NBA board does have Phoenix on a back-to-back. It has the Mavericks on a back-to-back. The Mavericks have lost 5 in a row and are now at home catching 6 in a hook from the Los Angeles Lakers. Kyrie and Luka both now missing some time. I feel very good about who the Dallas Mavericks are when healthy. I'm even open to the idea that this in-season stretch of injury could help Luka keep his legs about him for the postseason. Maybe Kyrie as well. It's assuming these things don't become reoccurring. And it's assuming this team can find some level, because it is right now getting a little slippy. They are going to start a little homestand here of 1, 2, 3, 4 games in a row in their own building, 5 of 6. But they will be home against Denver twice and OKC once, and the Lakers tonight. As a dog, you're looking at a team that is going to be a dog in a lot of these games. That's not ideal, because this is a Dallas team who's going to clearly get one of the top 3 seeds when healthy. Probably if just Kyrie or Luka were healthy. But instead, both are down right now. You do have also, listen, this is a small thing for people probably. Wizards-Rockets tonight should be a battle of the second pick versus the third pick. Reed Shepherd, the third pick from the Rockets, sent down to the G League. The Rockets have this very bizarre thing. They have too many guys, but they also don't seem to be keyed in on the right guys, it feels like at times. I was incredibly high on Reed Shepherd coming out of Kentucky. I'm not high on him, and I don't think that Houston's not high on him. They probably just want him to be actually able to play some basketball. You know how everybody was really upset, like, oh, Bron's going to be on the Lakers. How's he going to get any better? He won't be able to play. Right? You got to put him in the G League. Like, that's what the Rockets just did with the third pick, because he's not playing right now. Now, that's a mistake, but it is what it is. It is what it is. You want to go play Fred VanVleet 35 minutes, Ime, to keep the record clean and nice? Good for you. It's a mistake. Celtics Nuggets is the big one tonight. Easy, Hugh. Whoa. Demon home. Easy, you. And then you got Heat Warriors with a huge number there because Miami played the double OT. JP, you got a pick for people quick before we get out of here? Ooh. Wow. Leaves the people wondering. You got to respect it. It's been quite a show here on a Tuesday. Donnie will be back with you. I'll see you tonight on Game Time Decisions.
Everywhere. You can get SportsGrid on the radio, TV, the internet.
We got your number, Sporto.
That's